What do you think about Brooklyn? What's your first thought? My first thought is more so gonna look like this. Chaos. People, buildings everywhere, horns honking all the time. But then, it turns out, there's one area in a small part in the middle of Brooklyn that you're actually surrounded by really, really big, beautiful houses. It came as a huge surprise. I lived in Brooklyn before, many years ago at this point, and honestly, what I thought about Brooklyn and what most people think about Brooklyn is with cars and the noise and the people. That's exactly when I lived. And I'd seen it all. And then I never even thought about that there's a possibility of a quiet neighborhood here. Moving to this area has completely changed my thought though. It's a very historic area where all of these houses have been around for a pretty long time. And they were all at least like 5-6 bedroom houses. There might be a few that are a bit smaller, but what you're typically seeing is just huge houses that seem very out of place around here. Living down here is honestly a really peaceful experience. I mean, you're still surrounded by the sounds and noises of Brooklyn in the city, and you still have to pay the enormous rates for everything that you would have down here. But then you get to walk through the streets and you just get to see beautiful places. It's not just the big brick buildings that are normally everywhere. And because of that, in the times that it feels very overwhelming, and in the times that things just seem to be too much, and you get to cross the street, and even in a neighborhood where the cars are honking, people are driving crazy fast, you get to find a spot that gives you some peace. You get to look up and you just see trees everywhere, green. And in the fall, you get to see all the leaves changing. And everything turns into a beautiful, beautiful landscape. Since moving here, even though it's still really difficult with raising kids in the city because that's just hard to do. At least here, we have some space. In some way, there's some space everywhere you go, even though everything is still small and pretty tight together, just because it's the city and that's just how it is living here. You get to walk outside and you get to see all these places. And even though that you would get that normally outside of the city anywhere, I think it's just a little extra special thing of, you know that you can get there and you know that you're not going to be fully just compressed by every single thing that's going on. And you get to really feel and see a different part of the city that you really didn't think that was there. One thing Andrea and I have always talked about is, if we were to have one of the houses, what would we do? And even though the actual area of the house outside of it, where like the backyard and the front yard is pretty small, at least you still have some kind of grass and some greenery that you're able to go into. Some places you can see in the back they don't have them, but that's usually where the subway goes by. And outside of it being absolutely gorgeous in the fall, my favorite season, there's also Halloween. And all of Halloween, it is packed with people. There are always some houses that you see that have like the craziest decorations, and it just makes the day so much more special, because as you're walking around and seeing everybody in all of their different costumes and everything else, then you're just able to see kind of inside the mind of some people, because some people are going to have it a little bit more decorated than others, and some just don't really have anything at all, depending how festive they are in the season. Every single time that we're out, my favorite ones are the smaller brick houses. It kind of just reminds me of like a little hobbit hole in a way. And I think that's just what gets me, because it just feels even more kind of like where I grew up. It's a little bit more homey, and there were plenty of houses like that where I grew up upstate. So I think one of my favorite things about living down here too, in terms of being able to go out and take photos and feel safer that I can do this is the fact that I can bring Tomas with me on walks, and we can kind of just go and do our own thing and admire so many things. We get to look at many different houses, and we also get to look at all of their flowers and their plants that they have in the front. This is something that Tomas really loves. He really loves to just go up to the flowers and sniff them and just go, and just keep walking. And now also, as he's getting older, he wants to start taking out his toy camera that a friend of ours got him, and also mimic taking pictures as well, which for me is fantastic because then it's just something I get to show that he wants to do it because I'm doing it. Doesn't mean he's going to do it forever, but at least he's doing it now, and we just get to take these nice long leisurely walks, especially in the summer, in the spring, in the fall, when you can really walk outside and just get to be together. We get to have that time together where it's just us walking, running, jumping, doing whatever we feel like, taking photos, not taking photos, looking at the flowers. I enjoy sharing the moments with him where he asks that he wants to take photos and he wants to see something while I'm taking a photo, and then he asks me to shoot this, to shoot that, and it's such a fun experience seeing how he gets to do that. And don't forget to like and subscribe and place those comments down below. See you guys later.